All right, good morning, everyone. Hope you're all doing well. I wanted to start a series talking about the virtues and the seven deadly sins. I want to talk about both of them to bring about a certain amount of balance into the conversation. I don't want to just rant about the seven deadly sins and excess, and I don't want to just talk about the virtues. I want to try to achieve a certain amount of balance in these videos so as to talk about the hell that you're running from and the heaven you're running towards. To talk about the virtue to make yourself a better person. To talk about the sins to hopefully make you more aware of what your sins are. You're aware of your weaknesses and your flaws. And to talk about how to address them. So, today we're going to talk about pride and patience. Some people also said that the counterpart to wrath is forgiveness. So keep that in mind. Wrath. There's a difference between being angry and being violently angry or vengeful. Seeking revenge. Being angry is an emotion. It's something we all feel, and it is very necessary. It is a driving emotion. It is emotion that drives us into action, often in justice, often in as a way of driving us forward because there's something wrong in the world. So anger can be a good emotion. It's what we do when we're angry that is the sin, the weakness that you have, the flaw. When you start using this anger for vengeance, or it starts to consume you, because it is a very consuming emotion, you need to temper it with a bit of patience, with a thoughtful mind, with something holding you back a little bit, something keeping you from striking or lashing out with angry words, a bit of temperance even. And that is something else we'll also talk about, because especially as far as the virtues go, sometimes they will relate to each other in how you deal with this. So we might also revisit wrath or forgiveness and patience in future videos. Another thing about patience in particular is that you really need this virtue. It's a very important virtue, and it's one that is a little overlooked on some things, because because a lot of people will describe it as a weakness. Oh, you're not acting, you're not doing something because you are being patient, or you're waiting for the right moment. And there's certainly a balance to be struck with this virtue. Patience is something that you really need, something you really have to work on, because you can procrastinate and wait too long to act, or you can be the person who acts at the right moment. So there's a balance to be gained there. Also, with going more into wrath, I don't know how many of you get violently angry, but for those of you who do, you do know it is something that really consumes you. It eats you up, especially if you don't. There's a saying that you don't let the sun set on your anger. You deal with it that day. It's not something that keeps getting at you and going at you from a day-to-day point of view, because it is something that will consume you. Anger is something that gets you really tight, and that's not good. You don't want to be consumed by wrath or this all-consuming anger, because it is something that will really drain you. There's a quote I remember: revenge is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. And that's what it is. It's something that it really, really gnaws at you. The person who's always complaining about people, who's always angry about something. People that talk. Sometimes it's an environmentalist. Some people who always, we're destroying the environment. We're doing this and this, or the person that complains about upper management at your job. Oh, this manager did this and this today, or people that gossip about coworkers. this person did this and this and this today, and it consumes them because they're always consumed with a spirit of vengeance, and it's very hard on you, especially in the long term, because you have less and less energy to do the things that you need to do, and less energy to do the things that are good. And this is, this is very deadly to yourself, actually. Your energies are directed outwards, but most of the pain and sorrow mostly just affects you. I worked in restaurant for 5 years, and we capitulate to these people in this industry. We capitulate to the people who whine and complain and get angry, and it's very they've made themselves a victim to the angry people, and it's very, very deadly. It's something that will quite possibly consume the industry as a whole, because they capitulate to the whiners, to the people who complain. And it's kind of sad, and it's very hard on the people who work there. They're very stressed. The people are very distraught. It's an all-consuming emotion. It's something that will destroy the lives of those around them. And this is what we have to talk about: the virtue of patience. When people act out, you try to listen and try to calm them. You try to bring about a certain sense of calm to your environment. You try to think ahead and try to make the place around you a little bit better, instead of always complaining and whining about your environment. You try to make it a little bit better day to day, because it's a lifelong campaign. It's not something that changes overnight, and you have to have the patience to constantly be pushing forward, even though you might not notice the results that are being made today. When you have the anger at management, you can't. That's not gonna change overnight. This person's been, most managers, it takes them 5 to 8 years to get to that position, and that's just lower management. That's not even talking about upper management. 10, 15, 20 years, to get into the leader of a retail store or a restaurant. So, these people put a lot of time in their careers, and yes, they could be really bad managers, but that's not something that you yourself are going to change overnight. So you have to have patience to make a plan and keep changing things day by day, because your life is a lifelong campaign. It's not something that's going to change overnight, and you have to have the patience and the forethought to make a plan, and then have the patience to see it through. So diligence also comes into that as well. You also have to be patient and long-suffering. You have to deal with the pain in the current moment and not lash out and become vengeful, become a nasty, evil person because you're angry. So patience has a lot of applications here. And then forgiving those around you, because you really have to, because if you don't forgive people, this emotion of anger and discontent will eat at you. It'll continually gnaw at you. And forgiveness is as much for yourself as it is for the other person, because now you are no longer putting out that nasty emotion for the people around you. Because there's another thing to think about, is that there's a lot of innocent people that you're complaining to about these problems. There's a lot of people around you, and your negativity can sink them. So you need to be able to forgive those around you, and be patient and long-suffering, so as to keep moving forward. You have to go through the pain in order to make something beautiful. And that's what you have to strive to do. You have to strive to walk through the pain and the fire and the torment of whatever you're going through. Like when you're at the hospital, there's nothing you can do but wait. When your family in the hospital, or say you're having a child or something like that, you have to You have to go through the pain. And perhaps there's a child on the other end. Perhaps the operation goes really well, and you have to be patient, because complaining and whining and moaning only makes the situation more difficult. And having undue anger and a vengeful spirit will sink you and and quite possibly sink others. So we need to be focusing on patience and temperance and forgiveness. Leave a comment below how you've dealt with these emotions and maybe little routines that you do that also help you with restraining your wrath. I hope you all have a good day and good luck.